Hey everybody! Like I said, I was gonna go ahead and right away, go ahead and record the chaotic tag by MN Chaos because I watched her video of it the other night. It's like I have to, I have to do this one, so I'm going to. Let's go ahead and get right in on it. Question number one. There we go. What is your culture slash heritage? And she adds on to that one. Where are your ancestors from? What foods did you grow up eating? Did you grow up with a particular set of beliefs and traditions? Um, the big one, the one that I know the most about, is this is the one I mentioned in my last video that I wanted to get into. This is my grandmother's grandparents um, immigrated to Boston from Finland, and that's pretty much all I. That's the best. My mother's side of the family is the one I know the most about. Um, I believe my mom's dad's side of the family is from Germany. I'm not entirely sure. Um, I don't know anything about my biological dad's side um, because I wasn't raised by him. But the dad I was raised by has a strong Italian heritage, and yeah. But the biggest one I know is the one I'm. Oh, hello, Thunder. The one I'm most interested in is the Finnish side of my heritage. Um, I mean, we never really touched on Finnish culture or anything like that because um, I never knew my great grandparents, the ones that immigrated from Finland. I didn't know any of the my great aunts and uncles. I knew my great grandmother. I did know my great grandmother, but she was born in the States. I think she was the only sibling born in the States. I believe. Um, but yeah, I didn't really know. I don't really know much about like Finnish culture, but I'm really interested in it because of that. I mean, I know stories about my family, but nothing about like the culture as far as like beliefs and traditions and foods. There wasn't really like we didn't eat like Finnish food. I don't even know. Um, the closest to um, us with Finnish food is that my grandmother loved black licorice, which is apparently a really popular candy in like the most popular candy in Finland. Everything has black licorice in it. Everything. Um, but we pretty much grew up with standard American flair food, typical food. But so yeah, I'm really interested in Finnish culture, Finnish traditions, Finnish this, that, and the other because of that. So yeah. Number two, do you make an effort to pass on the culture you grew up with? Are you part of any counterculture, or are you more of an individualist? Um, I guess you could say I'm part of the geek counterculture. If anything, I'm a huge geek, very huge geek. I'm a bit of a video game nerd, a bit of a movie buff, kind of a bit of a TV buff, and the TV shows that you'd see me watching were like typical um, geeky TV shows. I like sitcoms and stuff like that. So I guess you could say um, I'm part of that counterculture. I don't have kids yet, but I do. I could see them raising them as little geeks. I could definitely see that raising them as little geeks. Yeah. Number 3, is there a social issue slash cause you are passionate about? Yeah, I am huge on equal rights. Um, in the truest, the like original and truest sense of the definition, I can call myself a feminist. I'm not a crazy, crazy hardcore man hating men are the scum of the earth feminist, but I do believe in inequality. I believe, um, to the extent that, to all the way to the extent that, like if a guy wants to be in like a traditionally feminine field or get into a traditionally feminine hobby, they shouldn't be called girly or weak or, you know, some other words that I will not use because they are not politically correct. Um, I believe that anybody should be able to do anything that they want to if they like it, if it floats their boat and it's legal. I'm also really, really into body positivity. I am a bigger girl myself. I know I kind of doesn't really show in my face, but I am, and so I'm really into the trust me I have a way easier time shopping for clothes now than I did in high school, and I love that. But um, that is another big one that I'm into. All right, number 4. Do you have a favorite style or aesthetic? Uh, sorta. I mean, I'm kind of into like the cutesy patterns. If you've kind of seen that from my finishes, but then I like really colorful things. Like even if I have like a silhouette project, like the tiny motifs was actually charted for black, and Coffee Buzz was charted for $37.99. For the entire piece was designed to be stitched on uh tea stained fabric, like almost like fiddler's cloth type fabric, in entirely $37.99. And I'm just nope. So I'm doing it on white with like the brightest possible colors ever. I think I'm using like 38, 50. I don't know. I think this one's like 440. This one is like 444 or something. It's like so colorful. I guess you could say my style is colorful. So number 5. Do you somehow incorporate any of your above 4 answers into the choice of patterns you choose to stitch or design? If yes, how do you incorporate them? If no, would you or wouldn't you want to? Why or why not? And I kind of touched on this in the last answer. Yes, I definitely incorporate like my aesthetic into my patterns. Like going into it again, Coffin Buzz was charted to be on. Actually, the pattern says it calls for 14 count dirty linen. 1, 14 count linen exists, and 2, I would never stitch on. I'm not the kind of person to stitch on linen. Charted entirely in $37.99. Like the dark brown, almost black brown, and I wasn't having that. I was not having that. So, I have to keep in my head. I made some color changes so it came out bright and colorful, and then same with the tiny motifs. It was charted to be all the motifs were charted to be black, and I'm doing them in variegated floss. So I do definitely incorporate that into my patterns. And I guess you could also say I incorporate the number 4, my geeky side into my patterns. As you've seen from my Wallace, Gokudera, Kim, Lost in Kim being from Scott Pilgrim. Ukudera being my little guy, my first one I showed you. And then if you look at my blog or my DeviantArt, all the patterns I've posted, most of them have been video game patterns. I've got like 3 Pikachu patterns, 3 Princess Peach patterns, stuff like that. So it definitely carries over into what I like to stitch. And I also like really cutesy stuff, which I didn't mention in number 4, but like Daily Cross Stitch and Tiny Modernist, and like I want more. I want some of those Tiny Modernist patterns. I have a few of her freebies. But I want some of the ones she actually sells too. So it definitely I take that into account. Oh, Clouds Factory. I want all the Clouds Factory. Number 6. If you were to stitch a person, who would it be? Wouldn't be a person per se, but a people. And I know I mentioned this in the Coffee Sisters tag. I definitely want to do a piece of. Well, there's a couple. There's a famous and a not famous. Famous is I want to do a piece of Backstreet Boys. I love them, and I actually had a pattern charted at one point, but it's an older picture, and I just want to find a different. I'm trying to find another picture that I could chart that when I try to shrink it down to where it will be not a 5 feet piece when I plug it into PC Stitch. It doesn't like shrink. Like you can like kind of still see their faces. So that's why I haven't charted that. And then I also want to stitch a picture of my nephew, which I do have charted. I just need to go print it out, but I do have that one charted, and I have the fabric for that cut also. I actually think I'm going to use that as my gridding practice piece. I'm going to grid for the first time for that piece. So, yeah. Number 7. Do you know of a little-known designer that you would like to let us know about? Not just one. Just Cyber Stitchers. Go check them out. Check it out. They've got multiple designers that submit their work to the site, and I recommend each and every one of them. This is really it for playing. I need a long point of view. I'll find it later. But just any of the designers on cyberstitchers.com in their free patterns section, they're all absolutely lovely. Number 8. What direction do you lay your top cross? Is there a reason for that? Yes, I lay my top crosses. See if I can I don't know if I can zoom in enough to where you can see. I'll actually pick one of my 18 count pieces. That one's 22, so you definitely won't be able to see it. No, it's hard to tell, but I lay them bottom right to top left. And that's because, well, that's how I was taught. That's how my mom does. My mom lays her crosses the same way. So that's what she taught me. And also, since I've been working with a lot of patterns where I start from the top left corner, as opposed to in the center, I stitch left to right because that's how I write. That's how I read. You would think with me being left-handed, I'd do it the other way around, but for whatever reason, I start at the top left corner and go left to right. So it just makes the most sense when I'm stitching, since I go left to right, for my stitches to start in the bottom left corner and go up to the top right. Whether I'm doing them as a row of half stitches and then going back, or if I'm doing them as individual crosses, like when I do variegated floss. So bottom left to top right. Number 9, are there any rules or popular methods you don't follow in cross stitch and why? And I mentioned this in Carolina's tag, my fun little tag video. I knot the end of once I thread my needle, I knot the end of my thread and start that way, which I know is a big, huge no-no. But I get easily frustrated, and the only thing that's one of the things that'll keep me from being frustrated when I stitch, because I don't have to worry about like having to like catch the thread and kind of finagle with that while I'm doing my first set of stitches, so I don't do it. And I know I shouldn't be doing it, but it's just a habit that I cannot break. And number 10. If someone were to find your FFOs or whip pile in 100 years when you're long gone, what might they say or think about you? Well, now that my dad's piece is an FFO, which was kind of against my aesthetic, they probably see that I like color. All of my whips have quite a bit of color in them. Even this one, which is comprised of 823, 150, and 312, is still pretty decently colorful, especially since I found the fabric. So I think that people would think that I like color. Yeah. All right, so that was the chaotic tag. I'm kind of running. I'm starting to run out of tags to do. I have 4 left to do. So if you know of any more tags, let me know, because and for those of you that are caught up on tags, like you're like, I have one more. I actually have 5, because I've got someone, Mondot Stitches, put out a tag, and I have to get her question. I don't have it in my document where I keep all the tag questions, but I know Mondot Stitches has one too, and I've got to go grab the questions for her tag and do that one. So I've got like 5 tags left, and then I'm caught up as far as I know. What do you guys do when you don't have tags to do? Those have kind of been what's keeping my me going, so to speak. That's how I've been able to push out videos, because I don't get hauls that much. And I try to limit whip progress to like 1 video a week, unless they get an FFO in the middle of the week. So, what kind of videos would you guys like to see me do once I kind of run out of these tags? I mean, I could start a stash series, but I don't have that much stash. I mean, I've got what's in here, which I can show off, because all of these are free. So I can show all of these off. I can show off my somewhat small collection of floss. I'm still missing a good chunk of DMC, and I don't own anything else. And I'm really kind of the person who will buy fabric as I need it. But I could do a stash video. If you want me to. I can start doing those. But I don't know. So yeah, I will see you in my next video. Bye.